Okay, so we're going to continue where we left off from last week. You guys had designed a snowflake in 4 different parts. And so we've got a nice symmetrical radial balanced design here. And you may have to go in and touch up some of your points if they're a little too light. But really, if you can see them, then you'll be okay. Here's one thing I did do. When I got finished, my corners ended up not showing up because I had lines that didn't necessarily go to a point. So I took a little artistic license and I went in and I added those lines so that they came out more of a point, and I made sure that these were more at a point. Just whatever you do, you got to make sure that you've got it balanced throughout the whole thing, okay? So if you go to add, I wouldn't add a whole lot, but like I said, I trimmed up some stuff, made sure that it looked a little bit cleaner, and then that way I can start going on to the next step, which I'm going to show you right now. So we've got our picture that we're working from, and what we want to do is we're going to start to add some value inside this picture. So we're going to try to get some of these things to stand out a little bit more, and we want it to be kind of a white snowflake or something that's a little bit better than just this flat piece that we have here. So you get to kind of pick and choose. A lot of the good stuff we can use in the back. And then there's a couple things that we're going to do that are going to kind of look like they're overlapping a little bit. But again, you get to kind of decide some of those things. So we're going to use value on this. So you're going to be shading. That means when we start shading, things are going to be darker. There's going to be medium tones, and there's going to be light. And we want to try to show those throughout the piece. So I think when I started working on the center, which I recommend using the center, because that way you can kind of work your way around and you can kind of see what's what. And so I kind of went around in this area a little darker near the edge, and then I would fade it away a little bit so that it got a little bit lighter. All right, so I had some dark, and then I'm letting up on my pressure. I'm not pushing as hard with my pencil, and I'm making it get just a little bit lighter. So it should look a little bit like this. Oh, I went from the inside, so I started using these corner pieces. Let's see if I can zoom in on those. All right. All right. So, my apologies. I didn't start in here. I started in the corners, and you can see where I went a little bit darker, and then I tried to fade them out so that it is a little bit lighter, and that is making this star shape for my snowflake kind of stand out. All right. So, as I'm looking in there, these are solid shapes because it's boxed in through these lines. And so as I do those, I'm going to kind of go around and make it a little bit darker and make it a little bit more of a solid shape, like so. So when I started, like I showed you before, I was darker in here. And then I wanted to leave a little bit of a light area, but I also want to put some dark in here so this stuff looks like it's right behind this piece here. All right. And I'm using small pencil lines. Don't go with real big lines, and don't go in all different directions. It's just not going to look very clean. And what we want to really do is start to notice that unique design that you made, that little bitty square that we made. Now it doesn't look like 4 squares. We're starting to make it look like one nice piece of art. Okay? So you're just going to kind of work from the center. All right? So there we go. Now I started entering in to that star piece in the middle. And I started with a little dark along the edge, and then I'm fading that out, shading it so that it gets a little bit lighter and lighter. All right? And I'm just going to keep working through and thinking about where I wanted my shading and my value to go. So here I took a little bit of liberties because I had this line going down in here. So instead of shading both sides, basically I shaded the right side of the line, and I just made that a little darker. And a good idea when you start to work with yours is to maybe use a ruler on some of those straight edges. So I would put a ruler along the side here, and then I would shade along that ruler, and that gives me a little bit crisper edge, and then I can fade away from there. So you're not going to probably use it on everything, but if you want those edges to be a little nicer, then definitely make sure you got a ruler down to start out some of your value and then shade it away. So we really want to make sure that we're not outlining things. I'm not going to go around and just circle all my lines with black because some of those areas are going to be a little bit lighter. all right? And then maybe the backgrounds are what I'm going to try to show some of that value. So keep working from the center out. You know, you want to make sure that whatever you do for one, that you start to do for all the rest. So I'm just starting to now go on the outer sides of my little spikes. There's some areas that are solid black. That's okay. They're small enough that I can do that. I just had to make sure that if I did it for one, I did it for all the other ones. You can see I did that in there as well. But I do want to make sure that I have a dark, a medium, and a light tone when I am trying to shade. Some of your bigger areas when you start to shade, good idea to maybe have that pencil, hold that pencil off to the side and not go straight down with it. So if I'm working at a little bit of an angle, I can shade those light areas pretty good. All right. And then my final piece, I just wanted to go around. I made sure that there was a little bit of shading. I still have to probably fade it out a little bit. I'm at the last part where I'm going to touch up, and I'm just going to kind of go around and make sure that whatever I did in those areas are done. I found quite a bit as I was working that I'd get going and then I'd have to go back because I would miss a spot. So really just that pencil shading is what we're looking for, and we're trying to get that snowflake design to be one design and to be nice and unique, just like you. All right? So good luck, and I will see you guys next week.